She smiled, waved to her neighbors, and vanished. Hours later, her husband stood in front of news cameras, begging for her return. But every word was a lie. This is the chilling story of the Watts family murders. In August 2018, the quiet suburban town of Frederick, Colorado, would become the center of a nightmare that gripped the entire nation. On the surface, the Watts family looked perfect. Two smiling daughters, Bella and Celeste, and their glowing, expectant mother, Shanann Watts. They were the kind of family you'd see in holiday cards, happy, full of life, and looking toward the future. But behind the social media posts and cheerful photos was a growing tension, one that would soon erupt into one of the most shocking crimes in modern U.S. history. When Shanann and her girls suddenly vanished, neighbors, friends, and even strangers online united in panic, desperate to know what had happened. What none of them expected was that the truth behind their disappearance was far darker and closer to home than anyone imagined. Before we dig deeper into this heartbreaking case, let us know what you think about justice for victims like Shanann. Drop a comment saying, "Justice for Shanann," because voices like yours help keep their stories alive. And if you're new here, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell. Every share and comment helps bring these stories to a wider audience. Shanann Watts wasn't just a mother and wife. She was the heartbeat of her family. Born in New Jersey, Shanann was known for her determination and resilience. Friends described her as unstoppable, someone who refused to let anything hold her back, even when life threw challenges her way. By 2018, at just 34 years old, Shanann had built a career as a thriving health and wellness promoter with a company called Lavelle Thrive. She was often seen in her videos, smiling, upbeat, and sharing her love for life and her two daughters, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste. Bella was shy but caring, always looking out for her younger sister. Celeste, nicknamed Cece, was a burst of energy, known for her infectious giggles. Those close to Shanann recall that her greatest joy came from being a mother. She often posted videos of Bella singing songs or Cece dancing in the kitchen, moments that painted the picture of a happy, close-knit family. But beneath the surface, things weren't perfect. Friends would later reveal that Shanann confided in them about growing tensions in her marriage with Chris Watts. While Shanann was pouring her energy into building their future and raising their daughters, Chris had grown distant, secretive, something she could feel but couldn't quite understand. At the time, Shanann was also 15 weeks pregnant with their third child, a boy they had already named Nico. Family and friends later recalled how excited Shanann was about the new baby. She often shared her joy on social media, showing gifts and baby items as she prepared for his arrival. No one could have imagined that just days later, her entire family would become the center of a crime that would horrify the world. August 13th, 2018, started like any other summer morning in Frederick, Colorado. At 1:48 a.m., Shanann Watts returned home from a late business trip to Arizona. A neighbor's doorbell camera captured the last known footage of her, quietly walking up to her front door, unaware of the nightmare waiting inside. By 9 a.m., Shanann had missed a doctor's appointment, one she was excited for. She was scheduled for an ultrasound to check on baby Nico. This wasn't like her. She was always punctual, always quick to reply to texts. By 11 a.m., her best friend, Nicole Atkinson, grew concerned. Nicole had dropped Shanann off at home hours earlier, but hadn't heard a word since. Nicole called Shanann repeatedly. No answer. She rang the doorbell. Silence. At this point, a chill ran down her spine. Something was wrong. She dialed 911. When police arrived, Chris Watts greeted them calmly at the door. Body cam footage from that day shows him casually talking to officers, claiming Shanann must have taken the kids to a friend's house. But Nicole, standing nearby, wasn't buying it. She told police, "This isn't like her. She would have called me." Her intuition was right. As officers began a walkthrough of the home, they noticed Shanann's purse, wallet, and keys sitting on the counter, untouched. Her phone, the one she used constantly, was found wedged between the couch cushions. It was as if she had vanished mid-step. Outside, a neighbor offered to show police footage from his security camera. That's when things took a darker turn. The footage showed Chris, early that morning, backing his truck into the garage and loading what looked like heavy, long objects wrapped in blankets. His face changed when he realized they had seen the tape. That easy smile disappeared. Detectives knew something wasn't right. From the very beginning, Chris Watts' behavior set off alarms. As officers dug deeper, his calm demeanor felt rehearsed, like someone trying too hard to appear concerned. Detectives noted his lack of urgency. A husband and father of 2 missing children should have been panicked, distraught. But Chris was oddly composed, almost detached. The investigation escalated quickly. Detectives invited Chris for routine questioning, but what they really wanted was to test his reactions. While sitting in the interrogation room, Chris appeared nervous but tried to hold his story together, claiming Shanann left with the girls after an argument. But the evidence told another story. To get answers, investigators suggested a polygraph test. Chris, confident he could outsmart the machine, agreed. FBI Special Agent Tammy Lee administered the test, calmly walking Chris through the questions. But every time he lied, about seeing Shanann alive, about knowing where his daughters were, the machine lit up like a Christmas tree. He failed the test, in dramatic fashion. The room went silent. Then Agent Lee leaned in and told him bluntly, "You did not pass." At that moment, the walls started closing in on Chris. His mask was slipping. Detectives shifted tactics. They showed him the neighbor's surveillance footage again, the video of him loading his truck in the early morning hours. They pushed harder, suggesting they knew something terrible had happened. It was then that Chris requested to speak with his father, Ronnie Watts. That conversation was a turning point. Chris broke down in tears. In a halting voice, he admitted that Shanann was gone, claiming, falsely, that she had killed the girls and that he had lost control and killed her in a fit of rage. Detectives knew he was still lying, but this was their opening. From that moment, the case became clear. They weren't looking for a missing family anymore. They were investigating a triple homicide, and Chris Watts was at the center of it all. Just hours after failing his polygraph, Chris Watts' story unraveled completely. Detectives confronted him with the mounting evidence, surveillance footage, inconsistencies in his timeline, and his failed lie detector test. By the evening of August 15, 2018, the unthinkable truth began to surface. Chris was arrested on suspicion of killing Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. Detectives transported him to a secure facility, and as the media descended on the small town of Frederick, neighbors were left in shock. Just 2 days earlier, this same man had stood on his porch, giving interviews, pleading for the safe return of his family. But now, the world knew it had all been an act. In his confession, Chris admitted to burying Shanann in a shallow grave and hiding Bella and Celeste's bodies in separate oil tanks at his worksite. These details sent chills through everyone who heard them. The sheer cruelty of his actions was incomprehensible. In November 2018, Chris Watts stood before the Weld County Courthouse. His guilty plea shocked many, but it was clear he wanted to avoid a trial and the possibility of the death penalty. He pleaded guilty to 5 counts of first-degree murder, including the unlawful termination of Shanann's pregnancy, as well as charges of tampering with bodies. During the sentencing hearing, Shanann's family, Frank, Sandy, and Frankie Razusek, gave emotional statements. They spoke about Shanann's kind heart, Bella's sweet innocence, and Celeste's energy and laughter. There wasn't a dry eye in the courtroom. The judge, visibly shaken by the details of the case, handed down the sentence. 5 life terms with no chance of parole, plus 48 additional years for the unlawful termination of Shanann's pregnancy, and 36 more years for the disposal of the bodies. The courtroom fell silent. Chris Watts was led away, his head down, to begin a life behind bars with no possibility of freedom. The aftermath of the Watts family murders sent shockwaves far beyond Colorado. The brutality of the crime and Chris's chilling calmness during interviews made headlines across the United States, the UK, Canada, and even Australia. The public's fascination with the case only deepened when the details of his double life came to light, including an affair with a coworker that prosecutors argued was part of his motive. In 2020, Netflix released its documentary, American Murder: The Family Next Door, which used actual police body cam footage, text messages, and social media posts to tell the story. It quickly became one of Netflix's most-watched true crime films, reigniting public outrage and heartbreak for Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. For Shanann's family, her parents, Frank and Sandy Razusek, and her brother, Frankie, life was forever changed. They not only mourned the loss of their daughter and grandchildren, but also faced public scrutiny, constant media coverage, and online harassment from conspiracy theorists. Through it all, they stood strong, using their voices to advocate for victims of domestic violence and raise awareness about recognizing signs of abuse. Today, Chris Watts serves his sentence at Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin. He remains isolated, reportedly spending up to 23 hours a day in his cell, reflecting on the horrific crimes he committed. The case also sparked discussions nationwide about the dangers of hidden relationship issues, the deceptive nature of social media portrayals, and the importance of listening to warning signs when loved ones seem in trouble. Memorials and vigils for Shanann and the girls are still held every year, a testament to the impact they left on their community and the world. For many, the Watts family murders are a haunting reminder of how darkness can hide behind a smile, and how justice, though painful, must always prevail. The Watts family murders will forever be etched into the public's memory as a story of betrayal, control, and hidden darkness. What made this case especially chilling was how ordinary it all seemed. A smiling family, happy photos, and a quiet suburban home. Yet, beneath the surface, secrets and lies were unraveling. Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and baby Nico were robbed of future, their laughter and love silenced by the one person who should have protected them. It's a painful reminder that appearances can be deceiving and that we must always listen to our instincts when something feels off. As true crime enthusiasts, we share these stories not to sensationalize tragedy, but to honor the victims and raise awareness about the warning signs of domestic abuse. If this story moved you, let's keep the memory of Shanann and her children alive by continuing to speak their names and learning from this tragedy. What are your thoughts on this heartbreaking case? Do you believe Chris Watts' actions were premeditated, or was it a sudden act of rage? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this video compelling, hit the like button and subscribe for more true crime stories that matter. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next video, where we'll uncover the shocking story of Jamie Kloss, the 13-year-old who outsmarted her captor after 88 days of horror. Stay tuned.